Okay. Hello, everybody. Hey, how's it going? Hey, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Mathematical economist. That's quite the name. How's everybody doing today? Hey, Arshia, how's it going? I love the hat. Oh yeah, it's quite the hat. It was about 30 Canadian dollars plus some stupid stupid like transportation costs. It was definitely worth it. I love it. Hello, 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 hello. I'm doing very well, Arshia. Thank you. Percy Jackson fan 42. I know who you are. Let me put that up on the screen. Why is R so cringe? um, couldn't tell you, but I don't know if I fully agree that it's cringe, although I certainly prefer what's on my hat. It's quite a bit. Python is quite a bit better. Okay, I lost it. Getting lots of comments on the hat. Hi, good, good, good. All right. I'm doing well, thank you, Pradeep. Thank you. Sorry, just scrolling through everything. Nice background. I know, right? Pretty awesome background. It's yeah, worked out well. Just guide about how to start learning in data science field from zero. You should see in the description of what you're looking at. My kind of I summarized it a little bit. I made it brief, but it's still fully doable. It's just a little bit shorter than what I recommend sometimes. In the LinkedIn description there, you should see the 4-step pathway that I have for beginners all the way to more advanced. Again, it's a little bit summarized. It's missing some of the mathematics, but it's a pretty good pathway actually. Will I be able to switch data science? Sorry, I should. That's why I ended up paying for this thing so that I could show these questions up on the screen because I realized that I was doing these live streams and I was talking about things, but then nobody actually knew what I was talking about because didn't I didn't have the question up on the screen. So there, very clearly. Hey, will I be able to switch? Actually, I should make this a little bit bigger for myself. Hey, will I be able to switch to data science or machine learning smoothly after pursuing a master's in physics? Definitely. Yeah. Um, you're just gonna be smarter, honestly. like, like, definitely, definitely. Like, even just after like bachelor's in physics, you would have been able to masters in physics, even better. People. First of all, physics is extremely valuable. This would have been okay for, I would have said something similar for just about any degree. But, definitely for something like physics that helps you understand just the real world, um, you know, you could either apply data science in that particular field of physics, or you can just, take the skills that you've learned, the ability to, learn things, the piece of paper that the credibleness that you're given for that degree and transition. Again, I have the pathway in the description of this if you want to go through that would probably help. But the simple answer is absolutely yeah. Getting lost, there we go. um Okay, had a data engineer interview today. I'm not sure if I really had to put that up on the screen, but I'm having fun with it. Good, good. I'm very glad. I hope that went well, Pratik. Um, This is a good comment right there. Just your name. Agreed. Which algorithm of machine learning is used in facial recognition and anomaly detection? Which algorithm of machine learning is used in facial recognition and anomaly? There's multiple of them for sure. Um, it's firstly, facial recognition. I'm not sure if you mean anomaly detection in facial recognition, which is kind of, I'm not sure if people use those terms, but that's kind of an interesting problem, is seeing like a basically the mix of that, if that's what you're referring to, would be like you have a list of faces that you recognize, and you would have an anomaly, so to speak, which would be someone you aren't familiar with, someone the system's not familiar with. And there's a lot of computer vision based systems to do that. Anomaly detection on its own, like just for normal data, again, a bunch of different algorithms, not so computer vision based for that. Can't really say like it could, but it's a long discussion. And facial recognition, yeah, just you can read about facial recognition on your own. And there's, if you're not familiar with basic computer vision, or I mean, basic modern computer vision, then I'd recommend taking Andrew Ng's deep learning course, which is in the description as well. That would be very helpful. Even just course 4 would be quite helpful towards that. Although it doesn't directly answer the problem. He does mention the idea of it, and it's the fundamentals are there. Is junior data analyst easy to get job? It's easier than many jobs, I would have to say. I would follow basically in the pathway I have listed. I would take the IBM data science or the IBM data analyst instead. They're very similar, so I would check that out. I don't have it in the description, but once you get on Coursera there, you can check out the Learn SQL basics by the University of California, would be very helpful. They have a big data specialization, which would be very helpful as well. Um, yeah, that's SQL and Excel and Python or R are your best friends there, and the IBM data science pretty much has those all covered. Actually, that's why I recommend that so strongly there. Hello from Chile, LinkedIn user, anonymous LinkedIn user. That's the same question with the question mark in the correct location. um, at least correct location for the English language. I'm not sure about other languages. Hello. Uh, that's the same question again. So very good. If I see that a couple more times, I'm gonna get annoyed. I already see it down below. So okay. Hello. Sure, sure. I am going in order. Hello. You're very welcome. I got a bachelor's degree in computer science, but I want to pursue machine learning. Well, you're in good shape because guess what? Machine learning is half of computer science. I'm sure you already knew that. But yeah, no, that's probably the top or second top degree closely related to machine learning. I would say that it's probably even more useful from an understanding, like from an implementation point of view, to actually do this stuff, that the computer science background is probably more useful than the statistics background. Of course, I well, went to Waterloo, and in their statistics program, at least if you kind of make this happen, you can take like a ton of computer science courses as well. So for anyone listening, considering a statistics degree, absolutely, you're going to learn computer science as well. For anyone learning computer science, you can take a bunch of statistics courses as well, although occasionally you might be limited in both cases. At least, I mean, if we're talking about Waterloo in particular, they're much nicer to the computer science people, and they'll let you take more statistics courses. And if you're in statistics, they'll be a little bit more restricted for taking computer science courses. But either way, the degree right there, that will be tremendously useful. And anytime they talk about programming, the machine learning part of that'll be much easier. In terms of a job, my God, like people recognizing computer science bachelor's degrees, uh, companies absolutely love them. They generally love them more than math degrees, and definitely, most statistics degrees. Some universities are better than others, but pretty much a computer science degree from anywhere. Very, very useful. Hello, Bruno. Um, Okay, a bit of a long one. Actually, it's not really that long. It just looks long because it's 2 lines. Um, Hi, how to start off with Kaggle competition, given that I know the basic understanding of all the algorithms and use them on some data sets. Well, if you have a basic understanding of the algorithms and you've already used them on some data sets, Kaggle is, almost a negligible step up. That is essentially exactly the same thing. The only difference is getting used to the Kaggle environment and the Kaggle submission system. I have a couple of videos on that if you want to check mine out. On my YouTube channel, there is a I would do the more recent one, which I can't remember what I called it, but I'm sure the word Kaggle is in there. It's basically like me fully submitting to Kaggle. You don't even have to watch the whole video because it doesn't sound like you have to. It goes up to the point where at about the halfway mark, you'll be at the point where you can submit to Kaggle. And honestly, to be honest, although I'd love you to go to my YouTube channel, you probably don't have to actually do that. The submission process to Kaggle is as simple as um, you go to the Kaggle website, you have to figure out their environment, which is very similar to Jupyter Notebook. You have access to your files there. Um, and you just to submit to a competition, you go to that competition, and then you'll kind of already be linked. You'll already have a notebook attached to that competition, and you can just submit. And the submission process is very simply, instead of given like test data, you're not given some sort of test data like the answers, because those are the answers, and so you have to predict the answers. You would train a machine learning model on the training set, do some sort of cross validation or evaluation method, use that same model to predict for the test data that you're given. You're given the inputs and not the outputs. And then you would use your predicted outputs, put those in the CSV that they ask. It's very easy to generate that CSV with pandas. You just do pandas like df dot to CSV, the name of the CSV. And then I would also do the index equals false, because otherwise you're probably going to have a wrong submission file. Once you have that, yeah, submit to Kaggle. In terms of so that was the technical aspect, that was kind of my first interpretation of the question. In terms of approaching it as a problem in general, like how do I kind of approach Kaggle? Like how do I do well on Kaggle? How do I learn from it? Um, I would definitely solve the initial problems that they have there, like the regression California housing one, the Titanic one, the MNIST handwritten digits one, all those really basic ones. And from there, keep stepping it up. If you want to, really challenge yourself, pick one of the, expensive competitions and go for it. I find that the ecosystem gets tremendously more confusing as it gets more difficult. And so something like if you start dealing with like the cancer data sets or like the health data sets, it can look a little bit confusing, to be honest. But whatever, you get through it. Okay, which is the best algorithm can be used for face recognition? I don't know. Google it. There's a lot you can learn about face recognition stuff. Again, in the deep learning course they have, or in the deep learning specialization course 4, I believe, is on computer vision. That'll help. You can look at blogs online for how to solve that. Sorry, I didn't do that, but that was the answer to that question. What's my take on ML ops becoming more and more demanded from a data scientist, especially in startup context? So, for those of you that have heard me in a live stream before, you may have heard that I am frustrated. It's not frustrated. It's not like I wake up and get annoyed about it. But I don't overly like the term ML ops. I feel like it's a bit of a catch by some people to get their courses, because to be honest, most of that, what you need, you can learn in a company already. When I was doing it, when I was applying to these jobs a few years ago and getting them, it's not like they were definitely not asking me like, "What is your ML ops skills?" or whatever. They'd be like, "Hey, do you know Git? Do you know GitHub? Do you know how to go on the cloud and set up a database? Um, do you know how to deploy a model?" And if you really had to, maybe we won't ask this of you, but if you really had to, could you figure out, how to make a website, like the back end and the front end? Um, and they don't care about these company aspects where, as soon as you get into the company, the first 2 weeks to be honest, 4 months, occasionally like a year, is understanding just the company workflow. Like they have this probably one massive diagram that has an incredibly high level overview of everything that's in the company, how data flows around. That itself is ML ops just in the company. And it looks different for every company. Of course, there's some patterns, there's some given rules, there's some technical things that are very followed, like such as like data protection and that type of thing. But ML ops is kind of just a catch for like doing machine learning in a company. And ML ops, of course, like if you want to take the course on that by Andrew Ng, I think it's a great course and I think you'll learn a lot. Nonetheless, I don't really have any take on it becoming more and more demanded. I feel like more and more demand. I feel like you're totally right by the way that you're saying this. It puts it very well that it seems like it's being more and more demanded from a data scientist when really it has always been like this. These are just coding skills. These are, business analyst, business workflow skills, and that you pick up in the company. So don't really worry about that. These are simple computer science skills like Git and GitHub and deploying things, and sure, it's being more demanded because more and more people are asking about it. But that's a really good question. Yeah. Do I have a TensorFlow tutorial series? So I don't have something called TensorFlow series. I have many videos that are in TensorFlow. Um, if you Google either TensorFlow or Keras in my like with Greg Hogg, like in that as YouTube, then you're going to come up with quite a few videos. Um, I think I have like a beginner deep learning. I'm forgetting what I titled them, but let's like beginner deep learning video. Um, Beginner TensorFlow slash Keras tutorial. Um, the computer vision one, like the object detector, the cat versus dog thing that's in TensorFlow. Um, yeah, I also have my natural language processing ones. I can't remember if both of them are in TensorFlow, but definitely the one at least is that uses some word embeddings, the glove to vector thing. Um, those are in TensorFlow as well. So quite a few videos there. How to begin ML and onwards. Absolutely the pathway that's in the description, Harsh. I think that's a great way to go. The start off kind of easy with the IBM data science, move forward into the machine learning stuff, the entering course, which you might want to. If you haven't taken the IBM, then now would be a good time because I would wait to do the Andrew Ng machine learning course because that's about to be transformed anytime now. I will make a very excited YouTube video about Andrew Ng's new machine learning specialization whenever that comes out, and I hope that everyone can get on that. Um, but yeah, the pathway down below is still going to be the same. I'm actually going to update it with kind of like a full, like long, extended playlist that I think has, covers like all of the bases. The one that's you're seeing right now in the video description or in the live description. That's a little bit summarized, but it's definitely the right pathway in general. Okay, this scrolling is a little bit annoying sometimes. Where is it? There we go. What inspired me to start a career in software engineering? Uh, Good question. So I've been surrounded by the concept for a long time. My dad is basically a programmer. I mean, I don't know if that's technically, I don't think it's his title, but I mean, he's basically a software. He's a very software-y person, and hardware actually. So he's kind of surrounded me with that. My brothers have very surrounded me with that. Um, and in terms of it myself, like when did I really get into making my own stuff? Like when did I start feeling kind of passionate about it? Was when I realized that I've loved Pokemon and video games for a long time. That's all software, and it's software. It's creative software, which is really nice because it's good to get, it's easy to get caught in these like technical circles of like I'm trying to learn, this set of skills, and that's great. We all need these skills. At least everyone here probably could benefit from these software skills, as could anyone. But you can easily get caught in like what is this boring pathway that's like I do this, I do that, I do that. To be honest, that's not how I learn. I think it's great, and whenever anyone asks about a pathway or roadmap, here, like that's what it is. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I would naturally do the same thing. I would probably go off and learn my whatever I feel like, or build whatever I feel like. Um, and so I guess I have to kind of fit all audiences there. It's not like I'm going to make a, if someone asks about a roadmap or a pathway, it's not like I'm going to be, hey, build whatever you want. That's not a pathway. Um, but yeah, that's the truth. Is I really like building these types of things. Um, I have a master in finance. Is it possible to pursue a career in data science? I've just started learning Python. Um, Sorry, I was thinking about something else while reading the question aloud. I have a master's degree in finance. Is it possible to pursue a career in data science? I've just started learning Python. Of course, of course. Master's in finance, that's going to be greatly beneficial. There is so many. I'm sure you've heard the word fintech opportunities, especially with Python itself. Um, yeah, yeah. Python's got some great APIs to work with. All sorts of finance data, unless you don't mean, unless you want to kind of, I don't want to say scrap, but if you want to kind of pivot away from that and kind of treat data science as separate. Of course, you can, but combining those skills, you will be tremendously valuable. Many companies would find your degree extremely useful, so that's quite beneficial. Yes. And if you have just started learning Python, I do have a full 3-hour Python video that I created not too long ago that I think it's really good. So I would recommend learning from that. You're very welcome. I forget which question, but I'm sure I answered it earlier. How can I prepare myself for a data scientist interview? Good question. I don't know why. I never get asked about, I never see interview in any of these questions. So I'm happy to see that there. Um, so how can you prepare? Well, you should really know your stuff, and that is the most important. Of course, there is times when you are before an interview and you feel like, there's some things that you should do to kind of prep specifically for taking an interview. That would absolutely be, saying all the stuff that you know into a mirror, saying that to someone else. These are basic things that people, you've probably heard before, but they are invaluable. Like, forgetting about the fact that we're data scientists or analysts or whatever we are here. I've gotten so much more comfortable just talking to you guys. Like, only like I only started live streaming like less than a year ago. Um, and now I can feel like I'm talking to many people right now. Not that I'm trying to show off, but genuinely, like I'm just trying to show a transformation where it's like, I was pretty big into the technical stuff. How do you get more into, how do you do good in an interview? Of course it's technical skills, and we'll talk about that after. But so much of it, like it is, they need you to know, they need to know you're a person. And of course, you're allowed to be nervous, especially if it's something like Google. Like Google knows that they're Google, and that you're going to be nervous interviewing for them. Probably everybody is, and that's fine. And if you're not nervous, then they'd probably be like, "How cocky is this person? Like you're not even you're not even nervous for Google." Um, but yeah, basically companies expect you to be nervous, and that's fine, but make sure you've got the people aspect down, where you can look into your own camera and feel like you're comfortable doing that. Make sure that you have the hardware, so that you're able to do that. People, of course, like no one's going to purposely like shut you down because you have a blurry camera, it's dusty, and your room is messy, and your mic doesn't sound very good. No one purposely will insult you for that, But a setup like this, like this is obviously more expensive than most people would get, and I'm not pushing that. But something where you have, a decent enough camera, a decent enough microphone, and a clean setup, even just something like that will really help for virtual interviews. It just, people are people, and as much as they want to seem like robots, like Google interviewing, they want to seem like just these robots sometimes where they're asking you questions. They are people underneath, and they have a brain, and they have immediate feelings that will just kind of, they'll just be like, okay, I have a good feeling, I have a bad feeling, and it'll control them no matter what. And also just being able to talk to people is tremendously valuable. So all of that, make sure that you prepare, make sure that you're comfortable talking to people. You do that by doing interviews. You do that by just record yourself, like just talk. And it might seem, I hope that people aren't ignoring this advice and like, no, this is only for someone that's like live streaming like Greg or whatever. Like, no, this is every single person. Like, all of you should go and record in your screen, and look at yourself and be like, okay, what is not, I'm not saying if you're ugly you should try to fix it. I'm saying, like, you should learn to feel comfortable with who you are, and what you sound like, and do something like hardware, or concentrate and practice the stuff if you need to. Okay, so yes, that is a big aspect of it, but I will answer the question that I'm sure you actually wanted me to answer, and you're just waiting for me to shut up about all this stuff. It's very important, but I will shut up about it. If you want to prepare technically, there is lots of kind of weird blog type questions online where you can go through. I actually don't have any, and maybe I'll create one at some point. But there's lots of other resources out there that are like 100 machine learning questions, and they're not bad. It's actually, I've seen them, and occasionally I can't answer them because they're just a little bit weird, and it's like that could be taken in multiple different, like, I could think about that in multiple different ways, and there's no real answer. But the vast majority of them, it's like they're gonna, if I ask you, 50 questions right now, like, what, explain the bias variance trade-off, why is a convolutional neural network better than a normal neural network, how can you create like logistic regression via neural network, and are they the same thing? And so random questions like that, yeah, you have to be able to answer those. And I'm not saying that if you can't answer all 100 questions on a list, that you're not suitable for any job. That's absolutely not true. But to be honest, a data science interview, and all interviews, they're going to throw some questions at you, and if you happen to not know the answer to some of them, then that decreases the probability that they'll accept you. And if you happen to know the answer to them, then that increases the probability that they'll accept you. And it is that simple. I know this is common sense, but it's really true. So how do you get better at that? Well, you have to search out questions and answer them. You have to actually know your stuff. And how do you really know your stuff? I really like the courses in the description. I feel like they build some really fundamental skills. IBM is a bit of an introduction, but it teaches some really valuable things. The Andrew Ng stuff, those deep learning specialization and the TensorFlow stuff, really, really valuable. Learning about all the neural network types, and the machine learning fundamentals, you really, really valuable. And then once you do that, well, what else is there? There's some books. There's some really great books. Introduction to Statistical Learning is really going to answer a lot of those questions for you. That's a free book. I mostly only recommend entirely free material. Coursera is all free if you audit the course. If you want the certification, and that does provide value, but if you want that, you can pay for it. Introduction to Statistical Learning is an entirely free book, no sort of like certification attached with that. And you'll learn a lot of the stuff there. So you learn that stuff. I don't like to self promote too much because it's just, it's a little bit cocky and irritating of me. But check out my YouTube channel, please. I have like you know hundreds of videos at this point about this topic in general, and I have a Greg's pathway to become a data scientist or whatever that has, it's ever increasing, and I'm kind of just filling any possible kind of knowledge gap in there. So check out that playlist of mine on YouTube, and hopefully that'll help a lot. and then go interview, see, listen to their questions, and if you don't know the answers to them, again, that decreases the probability. But what it does is it increases your probability next time, twofold, because you get more skilled at actually um, answering any sort of question in general. Like, you just get more comfortable, like I said at the beginning, as well as you got a particular question where someone asked you something in specific, and well, you can go and learn the answer to that. And there's, if they do ask you like a leet code type question, I mean, the practicing for that is pretty obvious. Go to leet code and um, or hacker rank, or your favorite kind of software, sorry, data structures and algorithms course. Actually, I really should add that particular data structures and algorithms course in my pathway down below. So I will do that for next time. I actually forgot that that should be a part of the summary. Um, yeah, the University of California, I forget the exact place, but their data structures and algorithms course on Coursera, I would also take that and then study on Leet Code or HackerRank, or your favorite tool there. And there's other stuff that I really have not taken, and there's a million data structures and algorithm stuff. There's that Algo Expert thing for like $100 uh, from Clement, and people seem to be getting jobs from that. I see it on LinkedIn all the time. I really can't say though. I haven't taken it, and it's pretty expensive, so I can't necessarily vouch. Um, but yeah, so get your data structures and algorithms down, get all the data science fundamentals down, and shoot your luck. Apply. Check, if you haven't seen it, check out the video I posted yesterday or the day before that. It's I have like a bunch of the FANG, Google, whatever companies on there, and I explain how I would apply to these jobs. So that's how I would apply. And yeah, interview and you'll get better. That was a long one because I don't usually get asked about interview stuff, which is odd. But yeah, moving on. um, there we go. That's a quicker one. You're welcome. Another easy one. Hello. How's it going? There we go. Three in a row. Hello. Okay, that's a long one. All right, that almost that goes up to my chin, basically. um, hey, Greg, I've been following your channel for quite a while, and just want to thank you for your videos. Oh, I really appreciate that. I just have one question. Ha, so you didn't want to just thank me. You wanted to thank me and ask a question. No, I'm just kidding. Good. I have one question. You learned ML, or machine learning, quite good during your college. More theory, less practical. Yeah, that's fair. That's very useful. But due to job, had to focus on another domain. Okay, that's yep, that makes sense. Now I want to get back to machine learning. Cool. Considering that I do have machine learning knowledge, I just don't remember much. How should I start learning it again? By focusing more on coding. I was considering going the AWS route, resources from ML specialist certification and ML Univ. Yeah, I think it cut it off at some point. Um, Okay, so I got the idea, and maybe I'll see later that you kind of filled in the gap there if there is one. Um, Sorry, I shouldn't have gotten rid of that though. Okay, so you've learned machine learning before, and you're kind of going back to it. How should you learn it so that you don't just kind of read everything all over again? That's where I think, in particular, Coursera stuff is extremely useful. So you don't have to follow the pathway that I have here. But what you can do is go to each of those courses in order and kind of check boxes. Be like, yep, I know what they're talking about there. Bias variance trade off. I'll remind myself. Oh yeah, okay, that's overfitting. That's underfitting. Okay, cross validation. That's why I would do that. I would check those boxes and scroll through the sections and be like, yep. And whenever you kind of need to learn something more, then that's when that's the sound where I need to have a drink. Uh, and so yeah, you can kind of click each of those sections and learn whatever you need to at the time. You can always skim through books. So like the Introduction to Statistical Learning, of course, that has a table of contents. It's a little bit harder, in my opinion, to go through books kind of skim through around and learn what you need to. I feel like videos are, especially the Coursera, the way that they do it, is a little bit easier to just kind of go around and pick and choose what you want to learn. But I think that could be very beneficial. Yeah. And in terms of the coding, well, yeah, make sure you got your fundamental roots as well. But in terms of the coding aspect, especially on my channel, I have a lot of coding related content to, Python and data science and machine learning. I recommend, checking the Greg's Pathway to Data Scientist or whatever. And there's a lot of coding content there while I explain what's going on. Hello, is Junior? uh, yes, yes, it is. Um, hello, hello. Do I have any idea about internships given by IBM for people who have a gap in job? Let me read that again. Do I have any idea about internships given by IBM for people who have a gap in job? Given by IBM for people who have a gap. No, I don't quite have that. If you are still here and want to ask that again, then I might be able to. I apologize because I see that this message is from almost 30 minutes ago now. um, but yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back to that if you are. What about taking a data analyst career track in Data Camp? Yep, it exists. You can see my thoughts on Data Camp, Mercy. I have that. If you go to my YouTube channel and you search like Greg Hogg Data Camp or something, you'll see my review there, and the link to that is there as well. You can see my thoughts on that if you want. In general, yeah, it's not bad actually. It's pretty good. It's very hand-holdy though. Hand-holdy is in like, they kind of sort of assume you're a bit of a dummy. And I'm not calling anyone a bit of a dummy here. That's just kind of the style that they have. Sorry, I still have that must have been confusing. Sorry about that. I'm answering this question. They hold your hand a lot at data camp, and they know that they're not trying to hide that. It's for a very beginner. You probably, if you've taken any sort of technical stuff before, like programming, or like a university degree or college or something like that, anything related to software, then I probably wouldn't recommend data camp. But if you haven't, and it's kind of aimed at people that don't have those skills, and that's totally fine, whoever you are. Um, then yeah, I would absolutely, I would not necessarily say go for it. Like I'm not just necessarily saying you should go do it right now. But if it's seeming appealing to you and you're considering it, check my thoughts and I guess make your decision there. I am a student of electrical engineering, doing final year project in communication and electronics engineering with the help of machine learning. In future, where should I apply for jobs? I mean, in which field? Uh, Whichever field you have an interest in. Um, there's really no answer to that. If you're interested in something, then you should apply to that. If you're unsure, then you should kind of look around at what jobs exist. There it would be very long discussion for me to talk about all the jobs that exist. Not that I know, of course, I don't know every job that exists. Um, but yeah, if you want to see my thoughts on how to apply, you can check the video out I posted recently. In terms of what to apply to particularly, I can't really say for you. Which is a better choice, master's slash MTech degree for someone who needs to go in the field of M. Let me read that again. Which is a better choice, master's slash master of technology degree for someone who? Oh, those are the two choices, right? Is that what you're saying? Which is the bet you should have? I would have wrote an or there because that was a little bit confusing to read, but um, not trying to pick on you. just trying to get through it. Masters versus master's technology degree for someone who wants to go in the field of AI, ML, and data science. If you mean masters of, like, MS is in masters of science, is that what it is? But that's MSci. I forget. Um, I don't exactly know what the answer is. I don't know. Sorry, I don't exactly know what the question is, unfortunately. If you're still here, feel free to ask again. I can take a look after. Can I please suggest some companies which will be better for an internship in data science? Uh, of course, any of the biggest companies will have a gazillion jobs in data science and many internships. Um, there's any of the American or North American, many European companies will have many great jobs. Even then, I don't necessarily have to bias just to North America or Europe, especially like Nvidia has lots of jobs in India, um, and Intel also has a lot of worldwide positions. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna vouch for the big companies because they pay better, and it's you probably learn a lot, and it helps your resume, obviously. Um, in terms of specific like smaller companies, I'm not really gonna speak to that, um, just because there's not enough positions. But yeah, I would probably say what most people would say on that. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just gonna check a couple things right now. I'll respond again in like 10, 15 seconds, sorry. Okay. Okay. Actually, I am going to take a quick bathroom break. So what I'm going to do is there some sort of weird in this other streaming software I could do play some silly video where I'm like, "Hey, I'll be back in like a minute or whatever," just so you don't have to stare at what looks like my room but is actually just a green screen. um Yeah, I will be let me see if I can do something. Brand, background. Oh, is that um well, that was funny. Wait, I forgot my headphones, sorry. Okay. Hi. Okay. So where am I? That was yeah, did you guys like that? It's really silly, um, really loud 30-second countdown from them. That was like the only option, I think. Okay. I'm a professor of applied statistics and I want to start to learn data science. My God, if you're a professor of applied statistics, then you know data science. Um, yeah, no, I suspect I suspect you do. Um, and if you don't, I'm probably not going. Actually, the pieces that I would recommend of the pathway for someone that's theoretically advanced um, is very programming based. Um, because I would assume that you got the theory down pat, probably a lot more than I do. And so it's still the pieces of the pathway that I have in the description. If you want to go read what's listed there, um, there's some great courses, and they are very applied. The IBM, if you are not feeling super strong in your programming skills, then the IBM has some amazing not super hand-holdy, but pretty hand-holdy programming attached to that. Um, as well as even the machine learning and deep learning specialization, they still are, they have a good mix of programming and the theory there, as well as the if you don't know SQL, then the Learn SQL basics by the University of California could be helpful as well. Other than that, I think you probably know data science. It's just a different term for statistics. It's like programming in statistics. I'm gonna go under possibly the wrong assumption that you know the R programming language. I feel like it's at least most probable for statistics. And if that's true, I apologize if it's not. But if that's true, then I would stick with R for now, and just go with that because I recommend anyone from the beginning to learn Python because I think it'll take you further. I think it's an easier programming language to learn, and I just like it more. But if you do already know R, like generalized linear models in R and that hypothesis testing, that type of thing, I would take those skills and stick with R. Okay, moving on. Sorry. I hope that helped. If not, I'm glad to see more. I'm already friend with Excel, SQL, Python, and Power BI. What should I do next? What are you trying to do? If it is data science, like machine learning, then you should learn data science and machine learning. I have that in the pathway. You could probably skip the IBM data scientist. In fact, I'm gonna just guess that you've taken like the R, or sorry, the Python. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that you've taken the IBM data analyst certificate. If not, that covers Excel, SQL, and Python, those things. Um, but Yeah, no, that would be the next step would be data science and machine learning, more more machine learning basically. So the Andrew Ng machine learning course, which is about to be updated, and the deep learning specialization for sure. I'm considering a master's degree. Sorry, I think I'm going to go quicker because I have a lot of comments to get caught up on. Um, I'm considering a master's degree in machine learning. Wonderful. I said I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, but I'm a bit lost on which route to take next. I need to read that again. I just wasn't thinking hard enough. I am considering a master's degree in machine learning. Okay. I said I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, but I'm a bit lost in what route to take next. Oh, okay, okay. Go for it. If you think you want to take um, if you think you want a master's degree in machine learning, it'll provide tremendous value for all sorts of jobs, and credibility just across the board. Um, it's not the only option, if you are looking to learn machine learning, but you're not super confident that you want to do it from that theoretical and that like a dedicated point of view, and possibly expensive, maybe free, depending on how good your grades were, but most likely expensive option. And so, the Coursera courses that I have listed there in the description should be quite helpful for doing that, for free if you want them to be free, or just a very small cost compared to a master's degree for the certificate. Will I ever do videos about deploying an ML project? Yes, I have done lots of those. So check out, Greg Hogg with Fast API, or with Heroku, um, with I'm blanking, Flask. Uh, Streamlit is the one I was trying to remember. Each of those, I would argue, is probably just that. Sorry for the repetition. I can't remember. Was that the one? Oh no, I didn't see any repetition from you. I saw lots of repetition from the IST junior data analyst, easy to get job. Um, no, that's fine. Will you ever make videos of? That feels awfully similar. Will I ever make video? Oh, okay, about AWS or GCP. Have I done a GCP? No, I don't think I have. I think you're right. The problem is that I don't know what the case is right now, but when I was doing this stuff, it wasn't free to even have a testing thing for machine learning based applications on AWS or GCP, I think. Um, and so I don't really want to accrue that type of cost. Um, I will look into that again. And if it is relatively inexpensive or free, then I will make that, that'll be a great video. I'll probably do one for both AWS and GCP. You're totally bang on with that. I should have that if I don't. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, um, oh, this is from before. Uh, Not how I can start using Kaggle. This is this is how caught up I am on questions. I'm almost certain you've left by now because it's been like 35 minutes since you asked this. I'm so sorry. Um, but yes, I know what you're replying to from what I was saying at the beginning. No, my question is not how I can start using Kaggle, but my question is how I can become a good Kaggle master. Like, how do we have any resources that discuss the problem and ways to increase accuracy for that problem? That is what Kaggle itself is for. So Kaggle, in terms of an ecosystem, they have for any given problem that's there. They have many notebooks, people explaining the things that they've done to do as well as possible. There's auto machine learning methods. There is um, trying your own techniques. Like I have a couple of videos where I say how I'm trying to get the best machine learning models, which is difficult to make a video on that because that's going to be different for every problem. And it wouldn't be a problem at all if it wasn't kind of problem specific. But in general, I have some techniques on how you can try to up your skills there. And in terms of and in Kaggle itself, the community ecosystem, they have so many notebooks explaining their concepts and how they're doing well. So that's how you do that. You would learn from others, try to implement techniques that are in books and videos. Yeah. Hello, I have good knowledge in Python, full stack developer. Wonderful. Want to change the career into machine learning. Okay. Please suggest you some steps from where you can start. If you have great knowledge in Python, for my pathway that I have listed there, skip the IBM data science or at least skim over it very, very briefly. Take the engineering, machine learning, and deep learning specializations. That is going to really push you in the right direction. And luckily, it's going to be a lot easier if you're already a pretty strong developer, especially a Python developer. I don't know what that means, but oh, sorry, you you explained it for me. Studying MCA sixth semester Indian government course from Indian Government University, doing internship at IIT. I don't know what GHY stands for, but I do know what IIT is in general, and that they have different campuses. Yep. In deep learning and machine learning. Okay, wonderful. You want to know, is it a plus point for you to become a junior data scientist? Of course it is. I mean, it depends what you're trying to achieve. If you say you're doing an internship in deep learning and machine learning, well, I mean, those are like the same thing. Like a junior data analyst and an internship in deep learning and machine learning. That sounds like about the same thing. So I'm not sure if I'm just interpreting the question wrong, but sounds like you're on the right track to me. Well done. Ugh. Hello from India. Well, not from India. Hello, hello from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada to India. Recently started to learn data science. Okay, great. Please tell me, how much algorithms do I learn? Uh, I'd be relatively familiar with the data structures and algorithms from a programming point of view. And in terms of the machine learning algorithms, you don't necessarily have to be an absolute god slash goddess in the ML algorithms. I know them pretty well. I would definitely know regression, at least linear regression, pretty darn well. I would know logistic regression relatively well. Decision trees and random forests and boosting. It's a toss. Like if you want to learn about it, then you can. You can kind of treat them as black box models that are truly black box, like literally a program that is able to either do classification if you want it to, or regression if you want it to. There's not a whole massive amount of value, and for learning the tree-based models, in my opinion. Um, but that being said, I do know it, and it is kind of interesting, and I guess it helps me understand those models, but not super necessary. Neural networks, learning the theory behind neural networks is a little more useful in my opinion, because you can kind of build the blocks like Lego style in terms of what you're trying to do. The skills that the concepts that are there are pretty universal, like using a learning rate, the value to give to that, how much regularization or dropout that you want to apply. And they talk about that in linear regression as well, assuming you do ridge and lasso regression. Ridge meaning the L2 or the squared error, and lasso meaning the absolute error, or L1 or whatever. Those concepts are very important. Hello, Dan. Hello, hello, hello. You want to learn more about what? Where did I learn to program? I learned through a very, you know, regular pathway, as in like a natural pathway. A very irregular pathway, as in like it's irregular in the sense that I did not follow a strict pathway, but it's relatively common to kind of learn programming through a myriad. That's probably the first time I've ever said the word myriad in definitely on a live stream, possibly when I actually was not jokingly using the word before. Tangent aside, regarding the word myriad, I learned programming through a bunch of techniques. I was about to say it again. Um, Through the university courses, through my own kind of just doing stuff that I wanted to try and do. I get better every day still. Um, Through dedicated courses like Coursera, and learning about that. If you want to actually get, and I mean, I have a million tutorials on programming on my YouTube channel. Specifically, the Python 3-hour course I released recently should be really helpful for learning the important pieces, in my opinion. And I think I taught it pretty darn well. I wish the audio quality was a little bit better, but it's pretty good. Um, and yeah, so I learned all over the place, to be honest, and I do myself have good tutorials that I've created, in my opinion. How can I get a remote job as a Pythonista? Ooh, nice word. Yeah, as a Pythonista. That's let's figure that out. Um, and what career could I possibly pursue with this language? Oh, well, you'll be a professional Pythoner, official Pythonista, or I don't know. Um, there's so many jobs in programming in Python, and in particular, where people expect you to know Python. There's a whole bunch of them. Web development, user interface design, testing jobs, machine learning and data science and analytics for sure. Um, yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I can't really say to um, a particular one, I suppose. Hello. Thank you for giving the video. You're welcome. For people doing research in the field of computer vision, do you have any career advice for those people after their research? Do they also need a solid knowledge in data science? Um, Again, my brain is turning off from being live for an hour now. I need to read that again. You're welcome. For people doing research in the field of computer vision, do I have any, I assume you mean career advice? If you want carrier advice, then I can recommend Bell or Rogers or AT&T, or um, any sort of cell phone telecommunications carrier. I'll stop the bad joke now. um, Career advice for those people after their research. Do they also need a solid knowledge in data science? Um, so regarding the last point, I would definitely have a solid knowledge in data science, and it's actually an interesting one because yes, absolutely, for more modern, or sorry, for more traditional uh, computer vision techniques, You don't really need a solid knowledge in data science. But for modern, really state of the art computer vision, you probably do. Um, Data science in terms of very machine learning, deep learning heavy, very heavy in deep learning in particular. But for all of that, to get data and to work with it, you need programming skills and SQL and Spark and stuff like that. um, but for the theory wise, look very yeah, just speaking very theoretically, I would definitely read many papers in state of the art computer vision, and that would be very helpful. For career advice after your research, yeah, I mean, I think you'd be suitable for pretty much any computer vision related job. I'd have to guess. Okay, how a junior data analyst or data scientist can get into remote data scientist jobs, and what are the additional technicalities required to get a remote job on? That was a long sentence. Sorry, I'm trying to parse that. Um, how can a junior data analyst or a data scientist get a remote data scientist job, and what are the additional technicalities required to get a remote job on comparing to normal data science jobs? Uh, in terms of the technicalities regarding remote versus normal, I would have to say zero. I think they're exactly the same. You still need people skills. Maybe get a better camera and a better microphone, like I said a while ago. But in terms of that, I'd say other than that, it's pretty much the same. And the extra technicalities regarding, yeah, I mean, how can you get a remote job? So the normal technicalities are, what I have listed in the pathway. So maybe take a look at the description, and you should see many of them there. I'm a medical student. Sorry, I forgot to click that. You're a medical student. What can you do with a medicine degree and data analysis skills? Okay. Um, a lot. My God, tremendously valuable. Um, you know, my advice to you is get really good at programming. You will be an absolute beast if you are extremely good at programming, and especially in data science and machine learning techniques. Combining that with medicine, yeah, you're set. Extremely valuable. And working with Microsoft as a data specialist. Wonderful. That's great to hear. I hope you have a great time. Currently intern. Is this the same person? I feel like, is this like a different account for the same as before? I'm just looking from earlier. Not seeing. Oh, there. Oh, did you go? Oh, you went from LinkedIn to YouTube. Now I understand. Okay. Uh, yes. Using different. Sorry, a little bit tough to read. I'm doing internship in machine learning and deep learning using different backbones and algos. I'm doing as Sorry, kind of confused by that. My apologies. Hi, Greg. Is the IBM certification a good one to start data science? Yes, absolutely. That would be why I have it as the beginning of the pathway. I would highly recommend it. You've cleared the Google interview as a data scientist. Wow. Okay. So you work with Microsoft and you're now working with Google? I don't know how that works. Wonderful. Not confident to go for interviews in big companies. Well, then get confident. Come on. No, I'm just joking a little bit with you, but seriously, like if you're not confident, then I, to be frank, I don't care. Do it anyway if you think that you want that, and learn the comfort level that it's very helpful. So push yourself is my best advice. So sorry for the long question. Didn't know it'd be that long. So, no, no, I appreciate the long questions. The only thing I do not appreciate, well, other than rude things, I hope there's no rudeness. Not that I would expect it, although I have seen it before, like in my live streams. Um, no, I like long questions, and they often provide you know a lot of information which is necessary to understand the question. Because, like, to be honest, during a lot of live streams, like, or not like a live stream, but like a public event, you would go and ask questions, and you would say in person, and the question asking process is a bit of a discussion where, like, I'm trying to understand your situation and what you really are referring to and what you're trying to get out of asking the question. So I'm okay with long questions. It's the questions that are, and I'm not insulting anybody, it's very difficult to read and understand and give an appropriate reply to these long, confusing questions that are kind of have wrong grammar and spelling, and that don't really make sense. That's the only stuff that it's not like I don't appreciate it. Like, it's not like someone's purposely trying to have bad grammar. English is a difficult language. Um, and unfortunately, it's the only one I really understand. um, but yeah, yeah, I have no problem with longer questions. How often do you meet people who, without an undergrad, learned computer science self-paced in your profession? Uh, well, so I guess these would be people in the jobs I've been at, that I didn't go to school with, or that didn't have a university degree. Um, it's not super common. I guess it depends. Like, you're saying, how often do I meet people? Um, well, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit frozen in terms of a response. It's pretty common for people to get a bit of programming skills um, without being an undergrad. Um, in terms of the people that have these, kind of cushy jobs, it's pretty common, I'd have to say, to have a computer science degree. But if you're asking, if you want to know, because you don't have an undergrad, or you don't want to get an undergrad in computer science, or maybe in anything, but you still want to get like a programming based job, of course, I will confirm to you that that's very possible. Um, just learn programming, get really good at it, learn all there is to know. It's all online. It's all online, free, and unless you want to get paid for certificates, it's all free. So you can do it for sure. Hello. Recently, you have passed the Microsoft Azure Data Engineer certification. Very good. Um, I will just skip to your question. I'll come back to that. Any recommendation what I should do further? Currently have 1 year of work experience. I mean, it depends what you're trying to do. I can't really answer a question. I guess that's why I like longer questions, which is what I was just saying. Um, I can't really recommend something that you should do without knowing what you're trying to accomplish, I suppose. So I'll see you later. I'll talk to you later on that one, hopefully. Can I explain internships? Well, uh, it's it's different for each internship, but essentially, an internship should feel like a job, because it is generally like 9 to 5, 8 to 4, or whatever the hours are that are traditional hours, and it should feel very close to a normal job. That being said, it almost always has a couple implications, which are that you don't necessarily have any long term, you know, what's the word, contract or relationship implied with the company. People who hire interns, they're well aware that they're hiring you for maybe 4 months, maybe 8 months, and maybe that's that. Almost always, there's kind of a bit of a hope from, I guess, usually both sides, that you can stay a little bit longer. But there's no sort of bad feeling about, if you do something for 4 months, they're absolutely not going to dislike you whatsoever if you drop off. And it's either way, your contract, like the legal contract, is dropping off after the set amount of time anyway. They might just rehire you, if you want that. If you both want that. So it's a job, like it's a job, but it's a time thing. Usually, it implies that you're still in school. There's some really weird things, very unconventional, which you might have an internship where you're not still in school, but almost all of the time, you are in school, and you are so not studying. You're taking like a scheduled study break, so that um, you can do that job. It's like, for my degree, like for Waterloo statistics, I think there was six co-op, 6 4-month co-ops. Sorry, I used the word co-op. Co-op and an internship mean exactly the same thing, pretty much all the time. And so, I had like 6 different internships, or not entirely different. Sometimes I think there's only one company where I stayed on for 8 months instead of 4. Yeah. But yeah, and they pay usually less than a normal job, but still pretty good. Like yeah, pretty good actually. So yeah, they're jobs, and you do that during school. Any recommendation? What should I do further? Currently have one. That's I already saw that. Sorry, my bad. Um, Again, yeah, sorry, same thing. I don't quite know what you're trying to achieve, I suppose. Um, that is the same question. Please try not to go and ask the same question through YouTube and LinkedIn. Trust me, your submission is being received, and I'm answering when I can, and it's only going to annoy me if it shows up multiple places, because it clogs up the chat. I'm not like insulting or mad or anything. I'm just saying try your best to just kind of put out your question, and I will see it. Um, what skills do you expect from beginner want to work as an intern in data analytics? Yeah. What skills would I expect from you? I hope that you have relational databases and SQL skills. Maybe you're good at Excel, maybe not. It's really up to you. Maybe something like Power BI or Tableau, up to you. Um, and decent programming skills in either R or Python. That's something that is pretty expected. Um, and if you can learn Spark and the big data stuff, you start to become tremendously more valuable as well. What's the best career for a Python developer who has 4 years of experience? It's whatever you would like. I can't answer because the best career is whatever you find interesting and a balance of all those job things, like, work life balance. Are you enjoying your work? Are you enjoying the people? Are you, is it making enough money? Is it in a place where you want to be? Those are difficult questions to answer. 1 second. Okay. What is the difference between data science and artificial intelligence? Essentially, artificial intelligence means creating smart things. It means simply that, as well as if you want to talk it from like a theoretical, like mathematical point of view, it's all of the study associated with doing that. But it as a concept, AI is trying to build smart things. So what helps build smart things? Well, data, because oftentimes using machine learning or even just simple analytics techniques, you can learn from data and gain value from that because those are actually seen observations from the real world. We can learn from that, and especially if you're making something that's really obviously labeled as AI, like a Tesla robot or like a Tesla self-driving car or something like that. Well, they're using data, they're using observations from the real world to learn from that. Um, and so, how is that different from data science? Well, data science is very specific to data because it kind of implies you're actually getting real observations and you're doing data science work. So artificial intelligence could be, sorry, I said that wrong. Artificial intelligence could be used to to data science can be used to aid in artificial intelligence, as in data, the study of data can be used to make intelligent machines. But do you necessarily need to study data to make an intelligent machine? Not necessarily. I could create an interesting machine right now that didn't have any sort of data necessary, or like say a chess bot. I could make a chess algorithm that was you could call it artificial intelligence. Maybe some people would, some people wouldn't. It's kind of a term that's up to whoever to decide. But I could create an intelligent machine that's just very rule based, as in like this kind of that. Sorry, just a bit of a tangent, but not really. This is why artificial intelligence was originally created in languages like Lisp, Lisp-based languages, LISP, which is very fit for kind of rule-based and also recursion as well. Because you can kind of branch off and say like, oh, I'm going to move the pawn up, and depending on what they do, they're going to move. If they move the pawn up, well, then I'm going to move my knight there. That's not learning from data. It would probably be better, and actually, AlphaGo and Google DeepMind has proven that if you learn from data and do it well, then you're going to beat these rule-based systems most likely, just due to the massive amount of the massive state space, as in there's like, a trillion, actually way more than that, like a zillion trillion different combinations of events. It's hard to make a good rule based system for that. But you could, and that's the idea. So I hope that made sense. Essentially, artificial intelligence means making smart things. How do you make smart things? Maybe a rule based system that has nothing to do with data. Maybe you learn from data. Well, then you would use data science. What is data science? Study of data. That's really it. Yes, I have seen that. It's about C sharp. I'm really amused by the start of that. It's about C sharp. What do I think regarding that language? It's a fine language, actually. It's what Unity uses to make games. It is used all over the place in kind of like a Java replacement. Anything that Java would do, you could probably use C sharp for that instead. In terms of syntax, it's not bad. I vastly prefer Python, but they don't exactly do the same things. So yeah. Let's check out my Spanish. I hope it's Spanish. It's even more embarrassing if it's not even Spanish. Cuando sale el. No, I'm just gonna sound like a complete idiot. Um, I'll have to translate that because for some reason this system is not translating that automatically, which I feel like it should be able to do that. So maybe I'll figure out how to do that in the future. Um, it's not even letting me copy that somehow. No, I don't want to put the user in timeout. I'm not going to block a Spanish user. What is this system doing? Okay, I'm confused by what I'm using. I can't copy the text. I do not want to write out a Spanish text, assuming it's Spanish. So I'm sorry. I'll be moving on with the English questions. Sorry about that. I've seen a video on deployment in AWS. It was free, but the video was limited and felt skippy. Yeah, that's fair. I haven't seen GCP videos, but I would assume it's the same if Google wants new practitioners to use it. Yeah, they're like the same thing. Yeah. Hi, is it necessary? Sorry. Hi, is it necessary to know math to be a researcher? To be a researcher? Most likely. It tends to be difficult to do theoretical analysis without knowing math, but technically you probably could. I'd recommend learning it though. Hi, Greg. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, and you're finishing a master's of science in data science. Okay. Bachelor's in BA and master's of data science. Okay. What career should I recommend after graduation? Which role fits better regarding background? Oh, I can't answer that. Like that's up to you. This is just whatever you feel is best. If you don't know, then try one. Um, if just swap around, like maybe you do 4 months of this and then you switch around to 4 months of that, whatever, figure out what your kind of true calling is, and you can only figure that out through experimentation and through maybe some analysis, but I would just try things. Do I think I can improve trading result? um so it's a funny one because due to my recent activity, uh about a week ago, you would have seen probably a 2-day pause, 3-day pause in terms of posting YouTube videos. And that would be because I got really into the idea of using machine learning for trading because I think I'm pretty good at this stuff. I need to fix my. Sorry, have some water. uh, okay, yeah. So I did a ton of work related to day trading. If anyone doesn't know stock trading, like saying should I buy a million shares? That would be difficult. Should I buy $1 million worth of Apple tomorrow? Should I sell it at 10:30? Maybe long-term analysis, like which of these stocks is going to be estimated as the best long-term growth. Yeah, the short answer is at this stage, I'm not willing to risk it. Do I think that it's possible? Yes, I actually do. Especially if you get down to the point of automating every single action, and that's another reason why I didn't actually do it, is because it concerns me to make any sort of financial uh, decision from my real accounts. Maybe I should. That reminds me. Okay, you actually made me want to do this again in one of those fake simulated environments because I totally forgot that those exist. These simulated stock and also crypto um, uh, environments, and so I might take all of the analysis that I did and push that there. So, do I think I can, or do I think one can? Yes. Uh, is it extremely nerve wracking to do so? Yes, in my mind. Maybe if you gave yourself like a budget that you really didn't want to go over, but it would be difficult if you were actually started making some real money on it to not place a higher kind of increase that budget. It's a bit of an addicting thing because it's real money and it could be real big money if you do it right. But for anyone that's here, I do not want everyone to go off and put their money into a stock trading environment and have it automated with machine learning or even sort of manual analysis with that. I want to be held very unliable for that. So, do I think it's possible? Yes, I have to say yes because I've tried it and I got some interesting confidence intervals actually. But yeah, I please don't. Just I don't recommend it unless you really think you know what you're doing. Then I probably don't recommend it. Okay. Sounds like you just go for interviews when you feel like it. Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, whenever you want to. You can interview all the time. What are some of the projects that one can put on their portfolio? Sorry, I'm think I'm going to be done with the live stream soon. Actually, I'm almost done the questions anyway, so I'll just get through them. What are some of the projects that one can put on their portfolio on a beginner level? Um, uh, well, all the basic stuff, so like the MNIST handwritten digits, the Titanic, the California housing. Those are all beginner projects that you could. But in terms of like that you can put on your portfolio, it's to really put something valuable on your portfolio. It has to be relatively engineered by you. And that doesn't mean it has to be like everything about it is a fundamental new idea. But create something that hasn't existed before, either visually or technically or both. And that would be beneficial. Should I learn data warehouse and ETL as a data scientist? Yeah, yeah, it comes up in companies pretty commonly, actually. Even myself, I was actually watching just to remind myself, like the Alex Freeberg, Alex the analyst, has a nice video on data lakes versus data warehouses versus um, the other one, databases, the one that people actually use all the time. Actually, people use all of those things all the time. Companies do anyway. Um, yeah, I would. I probably would. Yeah, you can secure a job online by applying a lot and improving your skills. Is it better to get into data analytics role first and then switch to data scientist? It can be, yeah. If yes, then what should be the ideal time duration to cover data science topics to make transition? You would transition whenever you want to or whenever you think you can. Just apply, 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 do whatever you want to. And yes, being a data analyst first is often easier and may be beneficial in that. I unfortunately do not know when Andrew Ng's new ML course is coming out. I will tell you as soon as I know. Trust me. Uh, yes, I can. Check the video description or the description of the live stream. I have a nice summarized pathway there, which should be extremely beneficial towards doing that. I have a YouTube pathway. My playlist of Greg's pathway to become a data scientist has a lot of videos there, and it should be very beneficial. Okay. At long last, an hour 24. I am through the questions on both sides. So I think I'm done. Uh, Now that I'm officially caught up again, I'll always answer like a last minute question here or there. I like to make sure that everyone has their has the everyone gets out what they want to get out of this. But it'll be dropping off pretty soon. I'm doing the IBM data scientist course along with a few other things. Will this be enough? Not necessarily enough to be to get be a good candidate for many of the jobs. It's a really good starting point and will greatly benefit you. But I certainly would, and also yes, for a new grad. I guess I should leave it at that one. That makes more sense. Um, Yeah, I would probably try to step into the machine learning and deep learning realm through the Andrew Ng courses, experiment on your own there, and that would definitely help as well. But you maybe could get an entry data analyst slash scientist job with those skills if you apply enough. If you've done some other interesting things as well. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna drop off now. Thanks so much for everyone for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I hope that you have a great day or have a great week. I was about to say whatever day of the week it is for you. It's either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or whatever it is. So it's probably Tuesday. If it's not, then I guess it may be just barely Wednesday for some of you. Um, okay. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you later. And thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.